Okay, so I guess I'm live. Looks like one person's watching. I don't know if that's me. I don't know. Anyway, like I said, this might be my longest live ever, and it might be. But I'm definitely not gonna say anything important without at least a couple of people watching. So just gonna sit back and wait. Oh, now we got 0. Okay. So I might just not say anything at all. I might just stare at the screen. So yeah, as I said in my other video that I just posted, I'm having some leftovers from Pizza Grove, which is a really awesome Italian/Indian restaurant in my neighborhood, and drinking some awful, I mean, it's delicious tasting, but it's terrible for me, Monster juice. And I never would have ever tried Monster if it weren't for someone who drank it a lot back in 2012 when I met them, and who was extremely helpful to me back then when I was going through some what seemed to be insurmountable and impossibly awful times, but turned out to be just sort of the tip of the iceberg of what what I was going to be going through in the near future. So again, we got zero viewing and 0 likes. So yeah, it's been a while since I've done this like live, I think. I mean, sometimes I go live, I don't know. I just know one time on this channel, I was live for like 3 hours, and it was all about um, the mutiny on the Discord server formerly known as the Goddesses Rising. And I like to look up words as I use them because sometimes people criticize either my spelling or my syntax or my words or whatever. And I pride myself on being something of a wordsmith. In fact, one of my friends said to me the other day, you're the wordsmith and I'm the mixologist or something. And I'm like, yeah, I definitely don't want to know any more about mixology than I already know as an observer. Although I do know that there is an annual event in New Orleans called Tales of the Cocktail, at which mixologists are celebrated. I think I had to work it one year, or like they were my client one year when I was selling advertising back in New Orleans back in the late aughts, early whatever. So yeah, still 0 people watching, which is always fun. So I'm just going to look up the definition of mutiny. Okay. Mutiny, an open rebellion against the proper authorities, especially by soldiers or sailors against their officers. A mutiny by those manning the weapons could trigger a global war. Mutiny at sea. Okay, so I just got the notification now that I'm live, so maybe everybody else got that notification too. But yeah, okay, so that's the noun definition: is an open rebellion against the proper authorities, especially by soldiers or sailors against their officers. And then as a verb, it is refuse to obey the orders of a person in authority. Thousands of the soldiers mutinied over the non-payment of wages. So yeah, I guess I did sort of mutiny on the Goddesses Rising, because back on Friday, October 13th, I was having 2 separate DMs with the people who I believed to be the first and second in command of the Goddesses Rising Discord. And I wasn't sure who was first and who was second. I assumed Steph was first in command and Brennan was second in command, but it could have been the other way around. I didn't know. I didn't care. I thought we were all Team BJ. So when on Friday the 13th, no coincidence there, of October 2023, I received a message from Steph that did not seem to include Bryn or anyone else on her server, asking me to look into Pear Therapeutics. I did so, and I still have all of the court documents that I found, and I still have the screenshot of that message between me and Steph. Concurrently, which is another word. I'll look it up to make sure I'm using it correctly because I don't want anybody to accuse me of anything and file a complaint against me and all that. So concurrently, so simultaneously. At that same time, I was also perusing Reddit. And when I was perusing Reddit, I saw some comments on the Let's Talk BAM subreddit. And the comments were by an account called BJ Gummy Lips. Now, BJ Gummy Lips is the same name as another account on Twitter. And the Twitter account I had already blocked, I believe, as of November 13th. The BJ Gummy Lips account and the Let's Follow It account on Twitter, they sort of feed off of one another. In fact, sometimes I wonder if they're like a couple or if they're, two sides of the same bot. I don't know. But BJ Gummy Lips and Let's Follow It seem to be hand in hand in their mission to just promote Lima and discredit anyone who disagrees with Lima. So Friday the 13th, I was getting notifications from Reddit because I don't get notifications from Twitter or anything like that. But I was getting notifications from Reddit on Friday the 13th of October that were saying things in the Let's Talk BAM Reddit. And one of the things was this BJ Gummy Lips person saying, hey, does anybody know information of how to find out the custody information about that girl that went to see the twins apartment in Oklahoma? And when I saw that, I realized that this was one of the top 2 people in the Goddesses Rising Discord that they were talking about. Okay. And I just refer to this person as Gemstoner because every time I actually use their real name, they file a privacy complaint against me. So y'all can figure it out. So BJ Gummy Lips was trying to find out Gemstoner's true identity. And I was like, damn, that's really rough because Gemstoner had been blasting all over every video we were doing about Lima and BJ, or every video they were doing about Lima and BJ, because they never invited me to be part of the video. They asked me to record things that they were supposed to be using. And every time I recorded something, they never used it, which seems sus AF to me, but whatever. So when I see this BJ Gummy Lips, trying to get personal information about Gemstoner, I had 2 reactions. One is, damn, Gemstoner should have never gone to Oklahoma to begin with, but she was egged on by High Priestess Steph, in my opinion, to do so. And 2, now Team Lima is coming after Gemstoner, trying to attack the custody battle that Gemstoner can't stop talking about. And all these Lima videos, all she keeps saying is, well, right now I have a restraining order and he has a restraining order. He did this and I'm that. And blah, 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 blah. She would just weave this in. Gemstoner could not keep her custody battle out of her mouth when we were talking about a defamation case. Okay. So what the connection between those 2 is, I don't know. Gemstoner claimed to be a paralegal, claimed to be a nurse, claimed to be a private investigator, claimed to be all those things. And High Priestess claimed to be a videographer. Okay. So at surface level, I knew nothing about these people, except that they said they were starting something up to support BJ. So on Friday the 13th, I'm getting this unexpected message from High Priestess Steph asking me to look into Pear Therapeutics. No context, no nothing, just message. And I said, yes, ma'am, I will do that. And then I'm also seeing this stuff on Reddit where they're trying to look into Gemstoner in her personal life. And I'm like, uh-oh, these are both could be pivotal things. So how do I navigate this as just a random lady trying to, participate in this group? So I did 2 things. First of all, I bought Pacer credits so I could research, get all the federal cases that had to do with Pear Therapeutics. And, that costs money, but that's fine. At different times I've had Pacer subscriptions, so it's all, included in there, maybe 10 cents a page. I don't know. It wasn't about the money at that point. It probably should have been, looking back, but it wasn't for me. It was just about, okay, if Pear Therapeutics is somehow relevant to the defense in the Jovanovich versus Corville litigation, or at that point, the Kuchar versus Corville litigation. If Pear Therapeutics is in any way relevant to Amanda Rabb's death, I'll empty out my bank account if I have to, as other people claim to have done. Luckily, I didn't have to do that, but I would have if it was going to yield positive results for the defense in any of these cases that we were all supposed to be supporting the defense on. None of us were supposed to be for the plaintiff in these cases. None of us were supposed to be pro Jovanovic. None of us are supposed to be pro Kuchar. I have come to find out that many, if not all of the other people in that Discord were pro Kuchar and pro Jovanovic, or have at least become so in the intervening time. All right. So Steph is asking me for Pear Therapeutics research. I'm seeing people coming for Bryn personally. I'm sorry, coming for Gemstoner personally. Sorry if I mess up the name. She goes by so many names, and every time I use anything she's ever used about herself, she comes for me. So I'm just going to call her Gemstoner because y'all know who Gemstoner is. And this is supposed to be about privacy. So I'm doing my best to maintain other people's privacy, even though they have done their best to shatter any illusion of privacy I might still have in early December of the year of our Lord 2023. I am going to need to go turn on a light in a minute or two, but I want to finish this Reddit part. So while I'm researching these cases for Steph, her second in command, as I believed at the time, Gemstoner, is being attacked on Reddit. So I say, hey, sweet friend, which is just like a random thing I say. I never say that on my own, but because I don't know these people, I'm just like trying to be as gentle as possible, but like, hey, you might want to take a look at this because this doesn't look too good for you. I don't know you. I don't really like you, but if this was me, I'd want somebody to tell me about it, type of thing. So I said, hey, sweet friend, you've been very open about your custody battle. And, unfortunately, people on the other side, I thought it the other time she was on BJ's side, but apparently she's pro Lima. I said, people are using this against you. And so what does she do? She blames me. She decides to start saying that I'm BJ Gummy Lips. I'm this, I'm that. It's like, no, girl, I was busy researching stuff that I thought was going to benefit BJ. Meanwhile, I come across stuff that's not going to benefit you. And when I tell you about it, you try to turn it on me. That's psycho level biatch behavior. And if I didn't like you before now, Gemstoner, I like you even less now. And now I'm more worried about all of our interactions because now I'm seeing that you're a snake. You're probably a hot snake, as in the production company that is producing this anti-BAM documentary. And now I've got a target on me from both of these broads, High Priestess and the Gemstoner, who are both supposedly in charge of this Discord, which at the time, I believe had like close to 40, but not quite 40 members. The most recent member I saw on the 14th, before I was kicked out, was a channel on YouTube that I have supported at different times called The Great Plague. I don't know what the guy's real name is. I think somebody told me his real name one time, but I can't remember it. But he's just this guy. I think he's on the West Coast, and he goes hard for Mark Leda. He's done like anti-Lima videos before. Like he has a lot of other content that I don't quite follow along with it, but there's nothing in his content that would have ever made me believe for one moment that he was anti-autonomy for homeless people, that he was anti-justice for Amanda Rabb. I don't think that I saw any content pro or con that would indicate his stance on Bam Margera. I don't know. I may have missed that. And as far as the twins go, I mean, I think he demonstrated through his anti-Mark Leda and his anti-Lima Jovanovic content that he would more than likely see the twins as victims of one or both of those entities in one way or another. I'm just going to pause here for one moment for the one person that's watching. I will be back like very soon, like less than 60 seconds soon. Just need to turn on the light. So yeah, so I sent Steph all those PR court documents, and Brennan starts sending me these recordings of, I don't know who it is. I mean, she's like, I'm a DV victim and my story hasn't been told. I'm like, okay, girl, I don't care. Just get them to take this off Reddit. I don't care about your business. I'm here to support the defense in this litigation, Jovovich versus Corvell and Kuchar versus Corvell. I'm just telling you what I saw in my research on those matters that pertains to you. You go take care of it. You go get Reddit to take it down. I'm busy working on Steph's request for PAIR and trying to read through these cases and see what I see. And what I saw was that PAIR was not a very upstanding company. So if Brennan and Steph and whoever thought that, I don't know what they thought or what they were trying to get me to think about PAIR, but what I came away with from PAIR is that it was as dangerous, or not, if not more dangerous, than Aura as an entity. So I'm very glad that they went bankrupt. I'm sorry for the people that lost their jobs, but hopefully those people have gotten better jobs in more upstanding companies at higher pay rates in the meantime. I hope. So yeah, so that was pretty much Friday the 13th. Saturday the 14th. All I had gotten back from Steph when I sent her the Bear Therapeutic stuff was, thanks, love, and then didn't hear anything from her. Okay. So meanwhile, in the Goddesses Rising Discord, there was a thread that I think was called Pairs, plural, which it really irks me because the company's name is Pair, singular, and they kept saying pairs, pairs, pairs. And I'm just like, sloppy, just sloppy, but I wasn't a moderator, didn't want to be a moderator. I had my own little Discord where I was posting things accurately all along since late September. And that was called Bam and Dahlia, right? So when Steph first asked me for the pairs stuff, I didn't post it in my server and I didn't post it in the Goddesses Rising. I just sent it direct to Steph because I figured, all right, maybe she has a plan that I'm not privy to. Well, then I don't hear anything from Steph because Steph was, extremely, let's just say elusive, in my opinion. If she initiated contact with you, she expected you to get back to her quick. But if you initiated contact with her, it could be weeks and no response from her, in my opinion, in my experience. Okay. In fact, I sent her an email on October 16th or 17th that I still haven't gotten a response back. And it's now December 7th. Okay. So, I mean, I don't trust people that are like that expect you to, when they say jump, you're supposed to say how high. And when you say, hey, about that thing we talked about, they're supposed to be like, oh, I'm so busy, love. Oh, la, 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 let me, I'll get back to you. Thanks. Oh, cheers, mate. Lots of love and light, like bullshit. Like there are actual deadlines in this world, and there are actual, time is money. Time is important. Getting information in time can mean the difference between an extra $100,000 in legal bills or a case getting dismissed. Okay. So for either of these broads, Gemstoner or the High Priestess, to act like, I should be like working on their time, hell no. And for either of them to act like I didn't have the right to put my own research that I found on my own damn Discord, it's astounding. It's a level of, I don't like to throw the word narcissist around, but it's a level of ego that is just beyond the beyond. And both of these women are, late 30s, have several kids from however many different relationships, whatever. When I was in my late 30s, I had a couple kids from a couple different relationships, whatever. I'm in my mid 50s now. I don't have time for any of these like soccer mom games. Okay. I don't have time for it. In fact, it astounds me how little time any of these women seem to actually spend being mothers to their kids when they're so busy with these other careers, whether that's videographer or nurse or YouTube moderator, private investigator, whatever they say they are. I just, the more I had gotten to know these people over the prior 2 months, because by this point I had been part of this Discord server since mid-August. So it's now, at that time it was now mid-October. So how do we tie this in with privacy? Well, High Priestess and Gemstoner didn't seem to have any regard for the privacy of anyone at all. I mean, it was let's just dig deep on anyone. No one was off limits. I mean, I didn't see any evidence of them digging on BJ herself, but that doesn't mean it wasn't going on. But I mean, the level of like deep detail that they were looking for on Lima, on Ivan, on Dahlia, on Dima, whatever, on Ivan's parents, on all these people, the level of like intrusiveness was astounding to me. So when we found a corporate entity that might be worth looking into, and that corporate entity had been a very well-funded public company and then mysteriously suddenly went out of business, that seemed like a pretty juicy angle to follow, and a productive angle and an appropriate angle, because even though in the United States corporations supposedly have the same rights as individuals, corporations have no privacy rights. You know what I mean? Like if you're a public company, there's no amount of scrutiny that you cannot be subject to for those with a vested interest in the outcome, in my understanding. If there's any corporate lawyers watching that want to challenge me on that, please put in the chat, because now I see there's 4 people watching. So, individuals do still have some minuscule level of privacy, but there's what's called the reasonable expectation of privacy. So I'm just going to read that definition from Cornell Law if I can find it. Okay, so the Fourth Amendment protects people from warrantless searches of places or seizures of persons or objects in which they have a subjective expectation of privacy that is deemed reasonable. The test determines whether an action by the government has violated an individual's reasonable expectation of privacy. Okay, so since I'm not an agent of the government, and nor is YouTube, as far as I can tell, although maybe that's up for debate, the fact that people are filing privacy complaints on me because I'm putting like images that they shared with the internet on my videos, it's astounding. But I guess I need to read the YouTube, creator terms of service or whatever a little bit more closely than I have. I never intended to be a YouTube creator. I just was planning to have these videos for like my own family, shenanigans. So yeah, so now, oh my God, now Cornell is looking for donations. No, thank you. I'm sorry. Oh my God. They're actually looking for donations before I can see the rest of the definition. Okay, no. All right, let's see. Yeah, okay. So subjective expectation of privacy that is deemed reasonable. The test determines whether an action by the government has violated the individual's reasonable expectation of privacy. Again, this is the government, not some random YouTuber with 22 subscribers. The reasonable expectation of privacy test in CATS, Justice Harlan created the reasonable expectation of privacy test in his concurring opinion. We said concurring earlier, concurring opinion. Although it was not formulated by the majority, this test has been the main takeaway of the case. Justice Harlan created a 2-part test. 1, the individual has exhibited an actual subjective expectation of privacy, which the Gemstoner never did, because every opportunity they got, they were throwing all their legal papers at anybody that would look. They were sending all this personal information. Like these people had to dig for my information. They were throwing their information out there on every damn YouTube video I ever saw them in. Okay, so that's 1. And 2, the expectation is one that society is prepared to recognize as reasonable. Okay, so society. I mean, that's another extremely subjective term. And again, this is all privacy in terms of government intrusion. So one private individual stating their opinion on another private individual's situation based on information that complaining private individual has voluntarily given, I don't understand where that makes me the bad guy. I really don't. And now there's only 3 of you watching, so I'm assuming it's the 3 of you that I'm actually talking about right now, or at least 2 out of the 3 of you, or whatever. But yeah, feel free to comment in the chat if you agree or disagree with anything I've said so far. Yeah, I put the definition of crew in here too, KREWE, from the Oxford Dictionary. And the reason why I did that is that there's some person named, I think, Susie Thumb. I don't know which discords they were in. I'm pretty sure they were in one or both of the discords that I'm talking about, either the Goddesses Rising or Bam Dahlia or both. I don't remember. I just know that I know this person has made negative comments about me on Instagram and things like that. And I think they might be British. I don't know. Because like the last comment I saw them make on somebody's video is like, these people don't even know how to spell crew, CREW. It's like, no, you freaking idiot. It's a completely different thing when you say KREWE. It means a group of people that are socially aligned in terms of a Mardi Gras organization or organizations. Okay. So, or not even just Mardi Gras. I mean, it can be St. Patrick's Day. It can be any kind of parade. Like it can be, a crew is just basically a social club, like a mutual aid and social club that has some sort of role in a parade. So whether that's a dancing crew, like the 610 Stompers, shout out, or that's a men's dance crew, or a female dance crew, like the Pussyfooters, shout out. That's not to be confused with the insane clown Pussyfooters. But yeah, and then like the Daughters of Lear was my crew for St. Patrick's Day, in the Irish Channel. Or there's like, there's Endymion. My dad rolled in an Endymion for a few years. There's like the Jefferson Buzzards. There's Orpheus. Harry Connick Jr. founded one of those. I think he founded Orpheus or whatever, which is like the musicians crew. There's like hundreds, if not thousands, of crews for all the different parades that we have in New Orleans, from like 12th night after Christmas, which is also January 6th, where BJ's saying we're going to reclaim camo, we're going to reclaim the Constitution. I think I'd like to reclaim January 6th as 12th night after Christmas, which is when the beginning of our carnival season begins in New Orleans. Not all these government ridiculous shenanigans that took place a few years ago. So yeah, so like it went down to like 2, now it's up to 3. I don't know. I really don't want to ramble for the sake of my own rambling, but I am here to discuss anything related to privacy and to people who falsely claim privacy, falsely claim that their privacy is being invaded, like Lima Jevremovich, when she is not only invading people's privacy, like Bam Margera, like Amanda Rabb, like her sisters, by blasting all their stuff all over YouTube, but then she is actually depriving them of their liberty. And in Amanda's case, depriving her of, the final days, weeks, months, hours of her life by forcing her to be in a facility without letting her stand trial for whatever allegations her father had against her. And, now Jess Margera on YouTube, I'm not on YouTube, on Twitter, I guess, is public again. Because it used to be like, if I ever did peek on Twitter, I would just see blank spots wherever Jess was posting or people were reposting Jess stuff. Jess, Krusty. I'm just going to call him Krusty. It's so much easier. And that way he can't claim privacy either. So Krusty is now public again. And Krusty is like saying, I'm hearing through the grapevine that Bam thinks this. It's like, dude, it's your one and only brother. And you're trying to like claim it as a win that you're hearing through the grapevine that he kind of sort of might have be questioning other people. It's like, dude, you're the one that pressed charges against him. You're the one that accused him of being a terrorist. And now you're trying to like get people on your side by saying he might have changed his mind. No, once you've accused someone of a crime and they're a defendant against the state because of your accusations, you can't just then try to like backpedal for, at your whim, at your leisure. So yeah, I can't stand people who invade people's privacy as a matter of course, as their general MO in their lives. And then as soon as somebody republishes something they've already published about themselves, they claim, oh, my privacy's being invaded. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Stop them, stop them, stop them. They're so bad. It's like, you mouth off enough, Lima, Krusty, soft white underbelly, you mouth off enough to enough people and piss off enough people, somebody's gonna start mouthing off about you. And then you don't get the right to take them to federal court when they defend themselves, when someone else steps in to defend people that can't defend themselves because they're either incarcerated in a facility involuntarily or they've been cremated by a shady funeral home in the meantime, by the time anybody even finds out that their privacy and their autonomy was being withheld by you and your corporate entities. Okay, so it keeps going like 4, 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1. I mean, I know I said this was maybe going to be the longest live of all time on this channel, but I mean, it's only been like 32 minutes and I'm already kind of exhausted with the lack of interaction. So if anybody has a question that's not going to be sexual harassment, go ahead and put it in the chat if you're still watching. If not, we can just go do something else with our lives. It's 3:32. I'll wait till 3:35. If no one else has put anything in the chat, then I'll just call it and we'll pick this up another time when people are feeling a little more chatty. Now we're back up to 4. Whoever keeps leaving and coming back. Oh, now we're up to 5. Wow. So people are joining, but nobody's saying anything. Interesting scenario. Oh, now it's up to 6. Still nobody saying anything. All right, it's 3:33. If there's still 6 people here at 3:35, I'll continue, but there's only so much I can riff without having some sort of idea as to why people are watching. If you're watching to try to like get your next privacy complaint against me filed, more power to you. If you're watching because you were part of this Discord drama yourself, don't be scared. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think of me. Tell me what you think of anybody else in it. I am an open book. I just don't like creepy, sexually aggressive comments about someone who has no interest in that kind of stuff online. I mean, if you're some Serbian bot that goes by Billy Goat and wants to post crap about me from years ago, that's fine. I put it out there. You're free to republish it. If you're someone named Jamie Gilmore who thinks you're going to get out of criminal charges after you made false police calls, not once, not twice, but 3 times on me, lawyer up, hun. Get yourself that lawyer that Kuchar used. See how well that worked for him down in Georgia? Devil went down to Georgia. If you're somebody that we refer to as gemstoner and you're, boohooing about being exposed for the fraud that you are, and by fraud, I'm not accusing you of a crime of fraud. I'm just saying fraudulent, as in you put one face on platforms on internet and then you show another face when you actually do show up for court, if ever. Or if you're somebody that goes online and like paints your face half the way and has the other half white and like, is obsessed with liquid death, feel free to comment in the chat. Now it's only 4. Great. Okay. So we're moving downward. Still no comments in the chat. I can't keep riffing indefinitely, so this has to be interactive. If we want to talk about privacy, let's just read back into the description. What are we talking about here for this live? We're talking about what is privacy in late 2023. Discuss. Okay, so got 6 people watching and 0 likes. So that pretty much tells me who I was watching is people that don't like me. So what is it that the gemstoner had on one of their things? Hustle until your haters ask if you're hiring? No, I ain't gonna hustle because I don't want to be hired by nobody. In my opinion, employment is equivalent of slavery, to be honest with you. And that's not to diminish the actual um, the actual unconscionability of true slavery. But corporations have gotten so big and so powerful and so unreasonable, in my opinion, that essentially it's corporate slavery to have to report somewhere at a certain time to do a certain thing that you could probably be doing from home, but because you're not in power, you are forced to commute through all kinds of conditions at whatever cost it costs you. That girl that BJ showed on her video, like the young girl that was complaining about the commuting. I mean, that's how my daughter's been living for quite a few years now, And during the pandemic, she had a little bit of a reprieve because she was able to work from home almost all the time. But commuting is really, really sucks. I mean, it sucks if you're a single young person, but what if you have kids that you have to get to daycare? Like what about all these people have said that I don't love Salvadorans. If anything, I love Salvadorans a little too much. So when you read Jamie's little blurb about me and my issue with the Salvadorans back in 2016, 2017, whatever that was, that's because I have some Salvadorans that are extremely close to me. And anyway, they would like get up in the morning at 4 a.m. They'd have one kid in daycare wherever, and they'd have to pay for that. And then they have another kid like in kindergarten, first grade. They don't have cars. So they'd have to take public transportation to get one kid to daycare, one kid off to school, then get to their, barely minimum wage paying job, work it for 8 hours or whatever. And then maybe they'd have like a cousin or a sister that could pick the kids up, and then they'd work a second job. I mean, these people work so freaking hard and everything, and they have families to take care of, and they shouldn't have to do that. But like they made the choice to come to this country, and they're doing it because however hard it is here, it's not as hard as it is for them when they're in their home country. But my child didn't choose to be born in the United States. That's on me. I gave birth to her in this country where she was expected to go to college and expected to take out loans and expected to do all this and then expected to pay them back and then expected to because these days, especially in certain major cities like, New York, Boston, San Francisco, Los Angeles, etc., if you have any less than a master's degree, never mind a PhD, you're probably not going to make above like 60, maybe $75,000. I mean, unless you have a specific skill, like if you go to trade school or something like that. So yeah, so I'm trying to loop this back into privacy when there are still 5 people watching and there are no comments, no likes. So I guess if the gemstoner says hustle till your haters ask if you're hiring, I'm going to say keep your mouth shut until your haters go file privacy complaints against you. Still 5 haters, 0 likes. or until someone puts a question in the chat. Has anyone read the latest amended complaint from Javremovich versus Corville? Let me go ahead and pull that up while I'm waiting to see if there are any comments. Okay. So yeah, so I have that up on the screen. And now there's only 4 people. Oh, great. So as soon as I started talking about an actual court case, people like High Priestess Steph leave because they're not interested in the law anyway. Oh, no. Now it's back up to 5. Damn. So many haters, so little time. All right. So what I'm seeing here is a 60-page document. Verified 3rd amendment complaint for libel 1, 2 libel, 3 invasion of privacy, intrusion upon seclusion. That's an interesting tort, intrusion upon seclusion, because I believe that is exactly, in addition to the crimes that Jamie Gilmore committed against me on November 11th through November 25th, 2023, I also believe she committed the tort of invasion of privacy, intrusion upon seclusion. So there's that word privacy again, that pesky little word privacy. 4, invasion of privacy, false light. That's a really hard thing to prove because that is extremely subjective. 5, Domestic Violence Act harassment. So when people who've never lived together, never even lived in the same state, file domestic violence things against each other, that is complete abuse of the system. 6, Domestic Violence Act cyber harassment. Again, complete abuse of the system when they have literally bot farms harassing other people and then claim that they're being harassed. 7, intentional infliction of emotional distress. That's an even harder tort to prove. And remember, although I only did a year of law school, I did get an A+ in torts. And my professor is the uncle of a late night talk show host whose first name rhymes with meth and whose last name rhymes with Dwyer's. So you can figure that out. All right. Negligent infliction of emotional distress. Even more shaky ground. Unfair competition. I mean, that's a hilarious one. And then a second charge of unfair competition, demand for jury trial. So it's like each time this woman refiles her complaints, they just seem to get more and more outlandish and more difficult to prove. And so despite the fact that BJ's lawyer bills are escalating every time this one refiles, and therefore the need for the 2 GoFundMes that exist and probably additional GoFundMes is going to perpetuate for years. And that no one should request their money back, because if you invest in someone's legal defense and they win, then that's by definition is saying that it was a worthy cause, because you're supporting them to win their case. So all these people online that are saying demand your money back, and then stupid Jamie Gilmore, I'm sorry, I don't mean to say stupid, easily impressionable former conservatee Jamie Gilmore, go ahead, file a privacy complaint. I'll fight it. Easily impressionable former conservatee Jamie Gilmore, who claims to love scripture but fraternizes with Satanists. If you change your mind about something that you invested in, you don't get your money back because you changed your mind. Okay. So yeah. Anyway, this nonsense goes on for 60 pages, and it wasn't worth reading the first couple times she filed it, because this is her 3rd amended. So the original one was filed in 2022. Then she did a first amended, and then a second amended, and now a 3rd amended. This woman is like a pit bull. She just will not let go. But unfortunately, she's more like a freaking teacup Yorkie when it comes to actual attack power. I I know there was something in the footnote on the first page that I thought was interesting. Or maybe it's the second page, or maybe this was a prior version. Yeah, they're claiming QAnon because Liz Crokin did a Britney documentary and interviewed BJ for it. First of all, QAnon is just a very convenient catchphrase to discredit anybody that disagrees with you. You know, it's like a buzzword. It's like something that's going to get a judge's attention. Oh, the defendant is part of QAnon. Oh, but you know, you're going to bury this in a footnote, and it's just I'm not going to call it sloppy because I've seen sloppier. Put it that way. I'm just going to call it like desperate and vicious in its assumption that that the plaintiff can intimidate or outspend the defendant. Because, you know, for every Jamie Gilmore out there that claims that they're a disabled person and they were duped out of $3,000, there's some very, very, very wealthy people out there that are making 7 or 8 figures a year that support free speech. So BJ will never go without benefactors. And people are probably hesitating giving at this moment in time just because this seems like it can be going on forever. And so, and no matter how much or how little the GoFundMe's raise, I would be shocked if BJ ever settled, or even if Lima wanted to settle, I would be shocked if BJ ever settled, or if BJ's lawyers ever let her settle for a perceived financial deficit of any kind, because there are so many entities with deep pockets that care about the issue of free speech that, you know, no matter how powerful or how rich or how well connected or how threatening Team Liven, as they call them, because since Lima has saw fit to bring BJ's partner into this litigation, which I think is horrendous and disgusting, but whatever. I guess it must be legal or they wouldn't have been allowed to do it. You know, Ivan doesn't get off either in this because he's obviously funding this woman's aggressive attacks on other people's autonomy. And all I know about Ivan is he's a successful businessman from Serbia. And I had no thoughts about Serbians pro or con up until actually very recently. I mean, I still had Serbia and that part of the world on my bucket list of places I wanted to travel up until very recently. But once I discovered this Billy Goat 98 saying hello to Jamie Gilmore in Serbian, I got really scared because this Billy Goat 98 is a vicious, vicious, vicious human being that for whatever reason is personally attacking me. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm not scared at this moment because I know that my law enforcement at the local, state, and federal level is on my side. But this is a lot scarier than I thought it would get when I signed up for this Discord back in August, you know, thinking that this was just, you know, the case had been dismissed and this was just like, this was before this, I signed up for the Discord before Lima refiled Coincidence or not? I don't know. Before Brian filed against BJ, coincidence or not? I don't know. I don't know how much the Discord has crossover with Team Liven / Kuchar versus how much of the Discord was just people looking for a cause to support and were easily swayed to one side or the other once they had interpersonal conflicts with one or more people. And so I've now been live for almost 51 minutes, and I still have 6 people watching, and I still have 0 thumbs up. So I don't know what to say. I don't care about the thumbs up, but I do care about the lack of engagement because I don't like 6 random people in Egypt or Serbia or Texas or Washington or Georgia or wherever they are, or Michigan or Florida or wherever y'all are, just randomly watching me without engaging. That's really stupid. That seems like bots to me. So if you're a bot, drop a 1 in the chat. If you're not a bot, drop a hoot at in the chat. I mean, unless people have been chatting, but it's people that I have blocked or somebody has blocked. I did have a mod at one point, but they decided to mod for someone that I don't trust. So I just decided to keep it all under my own autonomy. Ten views, 0 chat, 6 concurrent viewers. I'm still new to this whole live streaming thing. And believe me, I can't wait until I don't have to do it anymore. I don't particularly like doing it. I'd much rather be coaching people about the Sinclair method. Anybody watching that has tried the Sinclair method? Did it work for you? Not trying to invade your privacy or break your anonymity, but I'm just really curious as to why 6 people will be watching this in the middle of the day, although it's probably evening in other parts of the world and morning in many other parts of the world, if this doesn't concern you in one way or another. Is the algorithm that powerful that it's just going to leave 6 people watching as long as I stay live? I don't know. I don't understand it. Anybody watching that has their own YouTube channel want to educate me? my latest little puffy headband that I made. Wow. I'm going to look up another definition because I'm not sure if I'm even allowed to say it because people have been just accusing me of so much racism, as they accused my dad of later in his life, or like probably through his whole life. And he had many, many faults, but at his heart, his probably biggest fault is that he was way too charitable to way too many causes that served way too many marginalized communities and didn't leave enough for his actual heirs, but that's okay. I'm proud to be the daughter of someone like that. Oh my gosh. Like all the donation requests from Wikipedia, from Cornell Law, it's like, people, I ain't giving you nothing. I'd rather pay Pacer for freaking documents than, okay, good. We're only 5 people. So only 5 people to get rid of with my rambling, whatever. Okay, I'm not going to say the thing, but a blank is a confrontation where no strategy exists that allows any party to achieve victory. Anyone initiating aggression might trigger their own demise. At the same time, the parties are unable to extract themselves from the situation without either negotiating a truce or suffering a loss, maintaining strategic tension until one of those 3 potential organic outcomes occurs or some outside force intervenes. So right now, I feel like that's the situation I'm in with 5 people apparently watching me, no one commenting, no one liking. And again, I don't care about comments or likes. I just care about anonymous people watching me for unknown reasons. It was originally used in the context of using firearms, and it's still commonly, were you even allowed to say that? In using 2A devices. And it still commonly implies a situation in which the parties face some form of threat from one another. These can span from someone holding a phone threatening to call 5050, being held in check by a blackmailer, any third letter of the alphabet / another word for poultry, to global confrontations. It's a recurring cinematic trope. First known use of this particular term. If you know which term I'm talking about, go ahead, put it in the chat. First known use of this particular term was in a movie called, it was in a short story called Sunday Mercury. You lose your money, but you save your life. Starting to sound more and more like the perfect thing to describe what has been happening, especially since October 13th. In popular culture, it references confrontations in which neither opponent appears to have a measurable advantage. It can be applied to nuclear confrontations. The perceived equality of power exercised amongst the involved parties. Okay. So this is where it loses me because, I mean, I stand in my own power. but I'm like one person with barely any with barely any YouTube subscribers, and most of those are people that hate me, versus these people with 2,000 subscribers, 5,000 subscribers, 3,000 subscribers, 30,000 subscribers, 1,000,000 subscribers, and they're all hating on me. So how could this possibly be a perceived equality of power? That's where this metaphor fails to carry for me. The inability of any particular party to advance its position safely is a condition common amongst all of these. In this particular one, however, there is an additional disadvantage. No party has a safe way to withdraw from its position, thus making the standoff effectively permanent. So yeah, people have told me to just stop talking, like just stop talking. But to me, that's the definition of lack of safety. Because if someone silences me, I may as well be dead. Because what do we have as proof of life besides our speech, besides our expression, besides our individuality, just besides our autonomy? So if people are saying, oh, they'll leave you alone if you just stop talking about them. It's like, well, no, because A, they probably won't leave me alone. They'll probably escalate, as they have continued to do, whether I talk about them or don't. And B, they'll move on to someone that isn't as secure in their own power as I am. They'll move on to someone more vulnerable. And I believe they already have moved on to someone more vulnerable. And although maybe they helped that person go from, 496 to 4,900 YouTube subscribers, that doesn't make that person any more competent or any less vulnerable than they were a couple months ago when we met them and they said they were a conservative. And if that person can be convinced into using their YouTube platform to issue and carry out terroristic threats on someone like me, and have their name involved in these police reports rather than the people that are cajoling and controlling them, that's not a good situation. That's not something I would want to see even my worst enemy in. And I don't consider the girl who shares the first name with Brittany's father and has a channel that ends in animals, I don't consider that person to be my worst enemy. I consider that person to be someone who is desperate for affection and, is used to getting it from non-humans. And as soon as they get it from a human or two or three or five or 5,000, they can be very easily persuaded to do very dangerous things. All right. So it says, see also. So it's none of these terms that I'm looking up right now. Oh, good. We're down to 4. Okay. We're down to 4. Whew. Okay. So this term in Wikipedia, it says, see also, catch-22 logic, deadlock, mutual assured destruction, Polish parliament. I had never heard that before. Polish parliament expression. Prisoner's dilemma, Russian roulette, which is really scary, stalemate, truel, or zugzwang. So I've never heard of Polish parliament, truel, or zugzwang before. Let me look up Polish parliament and see what it says. See if we can get rid of some of these 4 last people that are still watching. Polish parliament is an expression referring to the historical Polish parliaments. It implies chaos and general disorder, and that no real decision can be reached during sessions. Okay, well, let's see. Truel, Truel. Truel and triel are neologisms for a duel between 3 opponents in which players can fire at one another in an attempt to eliminate them while surviving themselves. All right, and the last one is Zugzwang, from the German. A situation found in chess and other turn-based games. And I've never played chess or poker or any of those kind of games. Maybe I should. Maybe I should take up chess and poker and give up YouTube. All right. A situation found in chess and other turn-based games wherein one player is put at a disadvantage because of their obligation to make a move. A player is said to be in Zugzwang when any legal move will worsen their position. Interesting. It is used specifically in combinational game theory to denote a move that directly changes the outcome of the game from a win to a loss. All right. So, yeah. Oh, Lord, there's still 4 of you watching. I've been on for an hour and 5 minutes. What do you want to know? What do you want to know? If you're just trying to prove that nobody likes, oh, good, 3, thank God. If you're just trying to prove that nobody likes me, everybody hates me, and, it's me, hi, I'm the problem, it's me, that's okay. You proved it long ago. That doesn't affect my self-esteem in the slightest. In fact, it probably increases it. Oh God, now there's 4 again. It probably increases it to know that no matter how close I think someone is, if I take a position that they don't agree with, or if they take a position that I don't agree with, I can safely walk away without hating that person, without thinking less of that person, but with thinking enough of myself that I don't need to tolerate anyone who's going to go against my principles actively and expect me to like stand by and watch it. No. I mean, it could sadly, it's even happened with my own closest family members, ancestors and descendants, as well as those of my own generation. When people take a position that is so much the opposite of how I have explained my position to be, there's nothing to do but walk away. Because otherwise, what's the point of having an opinion? What's the point of having autonomy if you can't exercise it and use it to control the environment and the people you expose yourself to? I don't understand how there's still 5 people watching. I'm like, I mean, I guess I said it might be my longest stream ever, but that's because I thought there'd be some sort of interaction, like questions, like Bonnie, who are you talking about when you say privacy? Like, Bonnie, what was that thumbnail? Who was that thumbnail? Who were the, this is a shout out to Crab Tear and Evelyn Verbena and Lavender de Provence facial soap. Part of my aromatherapy when things get a little sus. So yeah, I think this is from the wonderful Artisan Hotel in Salem, New Hampshire. Verbena lavender. So yeah, so the thumbnail. The thumbnail is Gemstoner clapping back when I asked what happened to all the donations for this raffle that was supposed to support BJ. And she is putting in a chat between her and I don't know if it was on Instagram or Cameo or where this chat occurred, but it's between her and Danny Marie, aka the Stretch Queen, aka Bam's lady and stretch therapist or whatever, stretch coach. Shout out to my stretch coach, Erin and Mike. And I'm not even going to say where you'll work because I don't want people harassing you. But I have 2 stretch coaches, Erin and Mike. Erin's female, Mike is male. And they're both lovely, lovely human beings. But anyway, so it's Gemstoner reaching out to Danny Marie Official, Stretch Queen, to ask if Bam will donate a skateboard, I think a signed skateboard, for a raffle that in my mind was supposed to benefit BJ, but I have no idea what came above or below that message. So I'm just seeing a screenshot. And I'm pretty certain of who the 2 parties are, Danny and Gemstoner, but I don't know anything about the context. So Gemstoner is using that as a way to discredit my questioning of what happened to all the donations, including the skateboard, but other donations that I know were confirmed. Someone said they were going to donate a $100 cameo with BJ. Has anyone ever gotten a cameo from BJ? I don't know. I've tried to buy one a few times and it keeps getting kicked back. So I don't know if she decided not to do it or she just doesn't want to give me a cameo. I don't know. But I know that one of the moderators on the Goddesses Rising, oops, I broke the piece of soap, but it smells better when it's broken. So yeah, one of the moderators on the Goddesses Rising who said hello to me in BJ's chat recently, who I hadn't heard from in quite a while, since like October 26th or 27th. Anyway, that person had agreed to donate a $100 cameo from BJ to be raffled off to support BJ. And perhaps that would have been a conflict of interest now that I think about it. Perhaps the whole raffle thing was a conflict of interest, which is why I didn't participate in it. But I know other people did. And so people were saying, oh, but nobody's demanding their money back. It's like, okay, well, either that means Brennan was not successful, or it means she kept things like the skateboard and anything else that was useful to, oh, I'm sorry. Did I say the real name? Anyway, I meant Gemstoner. You know what I mean. Gemstoner may have kept things like skateboards that are useful to people who call Gemstoner their wife, but who Gemstoner calls a friend, those kind of people. And the same person has Gemstoner's Cash App at the bottom of their scroll of their screen, if I remember correctly. Last time I watched one of their horrific, awful videos where they slander me and encourage dogpiling against me. Anyway, still 5 people watching. No complaints, no thumbs up, no nothing. Interesting gang of humans. That's all I have to say. Unless maybe some of Jamie's animals are watching. Oops, I said Jamie. I meant the person who shares a name with the man with the busted colon and one amputated leg. God. Caffeine is the devil, I think. Sugar is the devil too. Caffeine and sugar. Drop a 1 in the chat if you think I should give up caffeine and sugar, in addition to everything else everyone thinks I should give up, like breathing. It's a beautiful sunset. Pretty cloudy, but still a nice pink stripe over the horizon of trees, over the beautiful pond, and then the lake behind it. Very beautiful day to be alive. So a fine quality ruby is generally more expensive than most sapphires and emeralds, with record prices up to $1 million per carat. And that's a Bible reference, a price above rubies, for any of our scripture-oriented stalkers that might still be watching. So a price above rubies is just like a woman that cannot be bought, basically, as I understand it. Let me Google that. What does a price above rubies mean? Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies. Proverbs 31:10. A virtuous woman is compared to a ruby, a valuable jewel. Women who are virtuous are not easy to find, which is part of the reason why they are so valuable. Yep. True that. All right. So the four of you who are still watching, can you just like go do something else? Yeah, I was trying to find sort of another scriptural verse that would be less politically charged than the Old Testament of the Bible. And I think I might have found one. All right. And this is from Al Quran, a contemporary translation, Princeton University Press, 1988, 78 to 79. Ooh. So women who are virtuous are obedient to God and guard the hidden as God has guarded it. Ooh. Okay. So, yeah. So basically, I think all of the Abrahamic faiths agree that a virtuous woman is a very prized um, a very prized level of humanity. And women who can be bought, whether that's literally or figuratively, whether that's by accepting a marriage proposal from someone that they don't necessarily love that much, but who offers them security and, you know, a comfy lifestyle, that's not a woman whose price is above rubies. In fact, if the price of a woman is an emerald, just saying. I think my mom's engagement ring was a sapphire. And then my stepmother's engagement ring was like a giant freaking diamond that got pawned in Baton Rouge by my dad in the last few weeks of his life. So there you have it. Oh. And by pawned, I don't mean pawned. I mean he like had a jewelry store in Baton Rouge buy it back. I think it might be the jewelry store that had made it or something. My dad and my stepmom were huge LSU fans. Sorry to anyone who has a cat named LSU that might be watching this. While I think your cat is adorable, I'm just not the hugest fan of the LSU Tigers. I'm more of a Princeton Tigers type of person. But it's okay. I mean, I don't hate any team except maybe the New England Patriots, as we call them. But my kids are fans, so what are you going to do? A house divided. Yeah, I'm like kicking on my yoga blocks as I'm waiting for these 4 unknown creatures to scurry off, waiting for these squirrels to go act up somewhere else. Thankfully, I've got like more than half a can of liquid death yet, so. More than half a can of liquid death left. Liquid death. And like a whole bowl of Indian food left, so I can chill out for 3 more hours. I don't care. I do wish I was sitting in a more comfy chair, though. And still some iced tea from Dunk's left. Well, it kind of, my cup kind of matches with my beautiful Evelina Lou from ilovemynighty.com. No questions, no nothing. It's just the Egyptian account that's gonna, like, take the least flattering view of me, of which there are so many to choose from because there aren't many flattering versions of me. And then go blast it little clips here and there to make it sound like I'm, the reincarnation of Hitler or something like that. I don't know, which I'm not. And I hate Hitler, for the record. I mean, I hope Hitler's dead. But if Hitler were alive, I'd be first up to watch Hitler go to the Texas electric chair. And, it's kind of a metaphor, like a figure of speech, the Texas electric chair. If someone chooses to live in a state, I'm anti-capital punishment, first of all. But if someone chooses to live in a state and commit crimes in that state where there is capital punishment by electric chair or lethal injection, I'm not really sure what these days Texas does. But if they choose to live in a state and commit those crimes, and then someone else, sort of as hyperbole says, can't wait to see them be held accountable for those crimes. I mean, it's not my fault they live in a state that considers certain things a crime that maybe shouldn't be and punishes those things with crimes up to and including death, which, is not part of my personal values, but I didn't choose to live in Texas. I didn't choose to live in Louisiana either. I got out as soon as I could because Louisiana has a death penalty too. Which states still use electric chair 2023. Let's see, maybe I'm wrong. Oh, okay. So, my bad. Texas has become much less barbaric. All right. So the electric chair is a specialized device employed for carrying out capital punishment through the process of electrocution. During its use, the individual sentenced to death is securely strapped into a specifically designed wooden chair and electrocuted via strategically positioned electrodes affixed to the head and leg. I mean, this is horrible. This method of execution was conceptualized by Alfred P. Southwick, a dentist based in Buffalo, New York. It's always the dentist, isn't it? In 1881. Okay. A more humane alternative to the conventional forms of execution, particularly hanging. Okay, so the electric chair is supposed to be more humane than hanging. Oh, great. We've only got three. We've only got three listening to the electric chair conversation. Okay. The electric chair has been closely associated with the history of capital punishment in the United States and has also been utilized for a significant period in the Philippines. I heard there was like a bad earthquake or something in the Philippines, and then I never heard anything more about it. Originally, it was believed that death resulted from cerebral damage. Okay, ventricular fibrillation. All right. The use of the electric chair has diminished over time due to the increasing adoption of lethal injection as a more humane method of execution. I think lethal injection is horrifying. I mean, like, as someone who has been force injected with all kinds of medications that made me feel like I was dead, in the words of Britney Spears, if I ever were subject to capital punishment, the last thing I want would be lethal injection. While certain states still retain electrocution as a legally authorized method, it is often employed as a secondary option contingent upon the preference of the condemned individual. Exceptions to this include states like Tennessee and South Carolina, where electrocution can be used without prisoner input if the necessary drugs for lethal injection are unavailable. Okay, as of 2021, electrocution remains a selectable method of execution in states such as Alabama and Florida, where inmates may opt for lethal injection instead. In contrast, Kentucky has retired the electric chair, except for individuals sentenced to capital punishment before March 31st, 1998, who can choose electrocution. Inmates who do not select this method, as well as those convicted after the aforementioned date, are executed through lethal injection. All right, this is awful. The electric chair continues to be an accepted alternative method in states like Arkansas, Mississippi, and Oklahoma. Let's see. Nebraska Supreme Court ruled in 2008 that execution by electric chair constituted a form of cruel and unusual punishment under the state's constitution. All right. Historical background. We already know it was invented by a dentist. Need I say more? Let's see. First execution was in New York, I guess. Oof. That's where it was invented by the dentist in New York. So adoption. The electric chair was adopted by Ohio in 1897, Massachusetts in 1900, New Jersey 1906, and Virginia 1908. 26 U.S. states, the District of Columbia, the federal government, and the U.S. military either had death by electrocution on the books or actively executed criminals using this method. The electric chair remained the most prominent execution method until the mid-1980s, when lethal injection became widely accepted for conducting judicial executions. So yeah, I mean, I think capital punishment is horrible, but I also think that crimes against vulnerable individuals, such as elderly, disabled women and children, is horrible. So I leave it up to whichever state the person happens to be in when they are convicted of such crimes. And no one has been convicted of a crime that I know of. I mean, I was once convicted of a crime in Louisiana, and apparently Louisiana no longer has the execution chamber either. So there you go. I wonder if it did on the date that I was convicted, which was like 2012. I don't know. I'm sure Jamie's Animals will find that. But it was converted to a civil judgment, not a criminal matter. I pled guilty to something that stays on. If you plead, it stays on your record no matter what. But if you're convicted, like if you go to trial and you're convicted, they can like reduce it to something else. Oh my God. Every time it goes down to 4 or 3, it goes back up to 5 again. All right, decline in certain status. Okay. As of 2023, the only places that are still reserved the electric chair as an option for execution are the United States, the U.S. states of Alabama, Florida, Kentucky, and Tennessee. Arkansas, Mississippi, and Oklahoma provide for its use. So yeah, I guess, I guess anybody who lives in Texas is in luck. Because even if they get 5 million signatures on their change.org petition, there's no more electric chair in Texas. So I guess it was just hyperbole after all. And hyperbole ain't harassment, and hyperbole ain't defamation. I mean, I know so little about YouTube. I wish I knew even less, but apparently, even if nobody likes and nobody comments and nobody subscribes and nobody shares and nobody does any of those things, but they sit here watching me talk about nothing for an hour and a half or more, I guess that helps in some kind of way. I don't quite know how, but I guess that's supposedly a good thing. So I'll just find the silver lining in the dark, satanic black cloud that is the insane clown pussies. And by satanic, I'm not being hyperbolic. I'm basically saying that the YouTuber that goes by Steve Fowles the Carney has stated that he is a Satanist. So I'm not. And I'm not a big fan of Satanists. I am, however, a big fan of Zero Waste Cartel. Zero Waste Cartel is a personal care products company. We've got 6 people watching now, so you're going to have to listen to me riff about Zero Waste Cartel. Zero Waste Cartel has what products have I bought from them? Oh, I've bought so many. So shampoo and conditioner bars, so they're not liquid. So it's really good for travel because it doesn't take up much space in your luggage, and you don't have to worry about TSA like scanning liquids and gels and stuff. And also it's really good for your hair, really good for the environment. And so they sent me this free wooden brush last time I ordered from them. Zero Waste Cartel. Not all cartels are bad. Zero Waste Cartel is a cartel we can all get behind, except for those that dislike the earth. Which I guess some people don't like the earth. And it's not because they believe that another planet would be better. It's just because they don't care about the earth. They don't care about themselves. They don't care about their children. They don't care about anything. They just care about causing drama. So anyway, Zero Waste Cartel. $20% off Christmas bundles at Zero Waste Cartel. The hilarious part about this is that for many years I was responsible for creating ad copy and selling advertising on the radio. So, and a little bit on TV. Not as much on TV, but a little on the radio. So I'm just doing it now. My mom asked me today, "So how old are these people that are harassing you?" And I said, "I'm not really sure how old some of them are, but my best guess is they range in age from about 25 to 85. I don't know. I really don't know." Um, because I was explaining to her how on November 11th, both Jamie's Animals and Michelle B7555 put something on their channels about save the date, November 25th, 4:20 p.m. I was trying to explain to my mom this whole thing, which I'd been trying to explain to her all along. But until November 25th came and went, I was like really afraid that the threat was on not just on me, but like on her, on everybody. And so today I was finally able to have an intelligent conversation with her. Now that I know she's safe and the rest of my family members are safe and all that. But yeah, so when I told her how this person in Georgia had made not one, not two, but 3 phone calls to the Georgetown, Massachusetts Police Department on November 25th, 2023, and it was much earlier than 4:20. So I'm not sure. Maybe at 4:20 is when she published the thing about me and the Somerville Police Department. But yeah, if that's all she was intending was to publish about this, me and the Somerville Police Department, I couldn't care less. I mean, it's public record. I don't care. But if what she was intending to do was have police come and harass me and potentially shoot me in my own home, that's A, a terrorist threat, and B, misusing law enforcement across state lines. So those are like pretty serious crimes. And oh, did we see if Georgia has the death penalty? I don't know. Let's see. And I want to make sure this is Georgia, the state, not Georgia, the country, because that's another one on my bucket list to go to. Is I've heard that Georgia, the country, is quite lovely. Does Georgia have death penalty? Question mark. I hope not. Uh-oh. It does. Lethal injection. Damn. I'm sorry people choose to commit crimes in states that have the death penalty. I'm sorry that there's so many criminals that live in those states, and I guess that's why those states have to have such harsh, inhumane laws to govern their criminals. Let me see. Oh, wow. Okay. All right. So this isn't really answering my question. My question was, how many states still have the death penalty 2023? Like, how many states is it even a possibility? But the answer is only telling me which states actually either executed people or issued new life sentences. So I'm just going to read out those states. So the 5 states that have executed people this year are Texas, Gemstoner, Florida, MJ Ultra, Missouri, Oklahoma, if you commit a crime in Oklahoma, and Alabama. Luckily, I never have to enter the state of Alabama ever again. Okay, so those are the states that executed people this year, and only 7 states sentenced people to death. So those states that sentenced people to death include Alabama, Arizona, California. Oh, I didn't know California had the death penalty. Florida, Louisiana, another state I prefer not to have to return to. I mean, except for like, Mardi Gras or something like that. North Carolina and Texas sentence people to death. So, yeah, I mean, I'm sorry if I'm just stating the obvious, but sometimes Gemstoner doesn't like the obvious truth when it is brought to her selectively attentive excuse for a brain. Oh my God, 6 people here, an hour and 40 minutes. I just can't with you people. I can't. Interesting. I'm looking up what percentage of defamation suits win. So, Floyd Abrams, a New York lawyer who specializes in representing media organizations, estimates that individuals who sue for libel win about 75% of the cases that end up before a jury. So that's 75 that end up before a jury, not that get settled or get thrown out, before they get to the jury. So I would imagine very, very, very few cases end up at a jury. But if you do end up at a jury, 75% of individuals win. But the media succeed in reversing jury verdicts most of the time after they appeal to higher courts. So that is interesting. Why are defamation cases difficult for the plaintiff to win? And this is from Morgan and Morgan for the people.com. One of my law school classmates worked for Morgan and Morgan, but she dropped out like before the end of the first semester of 1L. Okay. Why are defamation cases difficult for the plaintiff to win? Since free speech is a fiercely guarded right, it's difficult to prove these cases as it requires proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Conversely, civil cases have a lower standard of proof. Oh, I guess they're comparing it to a criminal case. Jail time is typically only imposed in the most egregious types of cases. I don't know. It's so hard to get good answers, which is why it's so important to, which is why it is so important to have a qualified attorney and not rely on sources like YouTube for anything regarding, not legal advice, blah, 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 not an attorney, not your attorney, not anybody's attorney, not an attorney anywhere in any jurisdiction, anywhere on the planet Earth. Hoping to get my license to practice in Mars any day now. Just kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding. What was that song about Mars? Wasn't there like some song about Mars? Oh, God. All right. So the New Yorker did an article called The Dark Side of Defamation Law. A revered Supreme Court ruling protected the robust debate vital to democracy, but made it harder to constrain misinformation. Can we do better? By Jean Sue Gerson, May 11, 2023. So, yeah, I don't like words like misinformation because who decides what is information and what is misinformation? Who's the arbiter of information? And if it's big tech, if it's Google, aka this platform. If it's Apple, aka this platform. If it's, what are the other ones? Is Twitter one of them? What are the big five? The big five conglomerates, media, or not media, but big five tech. Okay, big five tech. Oh, God. It's not even telling me. See, it wants to predict even that information as to who are the big five tech. Five tech companies. So I know it's Google, Apple, Microsoft. Oh, Meta. So it's Meta, aka Facebook, etc. Alphabet, aka YouTube, Google, etc. Apple, Microsoft. Oh, and Amazon. Okay. So yeah, so Twitter has nothing to do with any of that, which is kind of cool. I guess that's why Twitter is such a wild, wild west of stuff, of lack of censorship. I can't believe I've been on for an hour and 46 minutes and I still have 6 people and 0 legs. I mean, this is kind of creepy, to be honest. But I guess this is the kind of stuff law enforcement told me to document, so still documenting. So they're also called FANG, F-A-A-N-G. So F is for Facebook, aka Meta, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, and Google. So Netflix is one of them on this list. Yeah, there's all different ones, you know. But I'm getting bored with you people, so have a nice life or a nice death, whichever you choose. I don't care. Luckily, there's no electric chair in Texas, so people who are concerned about that on the change.org petition can just mark that down as hyperbole and move along. Bye now.